Hey YouTube, many years ago my old man made a table out of light angle iron. I don't remember what he used it for, but when it passed for me, it didn't have a top on it. So I just put it in the corner of the workshop and let it sit there. One day my wife came in and she was helping me finish up a job. She thought she'd pick up a broom and sweep up so I could get finished. And her pursuit of dust led her into the corner where the table was residing. She asked me what I intended to do with it, and since I didn't have any firm plans, my answer was fairly vague. This led her to ask if she could have it. Well, how can you say no to your wife? So this video is about the disposition of the table. I hope you enjoy it. My wife's decided that she'd like the frame painted in a flat black when it's finished. At some point in the past it had been painted with red oxide, and it looked like it had been a long time ago, so the first thing to do was to go over it with a wire brush and clean off any loose pieces. While I was using the wire brush, I discovered that the table must have been used back when the old man and I were building a boat, because it's got fiberglass resin spilled on it here and there, and that was a bit tough for the wire brush, so I had to get the grinder out to remove that. I'm still working on this table that the wife appropriated. I've got these long sides off an old single bed, and I've got the ends off the old single bed. All the timber's the same thickness, and if I cut it in half, I'll be able to make a nice little tabletop out of it. So that's the plan. I'm going to cut this in half, then I'm going to glue it all together so that it's all nice and flat and tight. Then I'll trim it up so that it's nice and square, and that will be the tabletop. Now to find something to glue it together with. Alright, I've got 510 inside there. I think I'll cut these in each 500 to glue across underneath to hold everything together. It'll give me a little bit of play when I glue it all down to the frame. Probably be easier. Did a bit of it in the table saw. It's a bit awkward to set that up at the moment. I guess I'll just do it as is. Actually, what I could do is clamp that lot together and just cut them both at once. That might be a proposition, I think. How best to do that? I think that might work well. I'm just going to give these a bit of a sand off now so that the glue will take to it. Whoever made this bed certainly wanted to save some money on paint. There's barely enough varnish on it to call it a coat, but nevertheless I wanted to take it off so that the glue would penetrate into the fibres of the wood properly and I'd get a good joint. I had to do it by hand. The belts in my belt sander kept breaking. I guess the belts are probably 30 years old, so I'm not surprised they break. Glue just gave way. Never mind. Doing it by hand is not all that difficult because there's not that much paint to remove. What we're going to do is clamp it together this way, with some glue in between the boards, then screw down and glue the boards across this way to hold it all together, and then put some heavy iron top and bottom on it so that I can clamp it down and make sure it all sits nice and flat. It ends up with a pretty good surface. I may need to sand it a little bit, it should be pretty good. Let's get started and see what happens. Now basically from here to here is the piece that's got to be glued. Good idea just to spread the glue. Only need a thin coating because the board's all made up without any gap. Just spread the glue over it. Make sure the glue sits in the pores, that's the important bit. We don't really want the glue to be a gap filler. These boards are going to be really tied up against each other, and this sort of glue has more strength when there's no gap anyway. Make sure these all line up where they need to. heavy bit of angle line here at the top. Another heavy piece, a really heavy piece of SHS to the bottom. There's no way they're going to bend. Well, it's got it all clamped together very tightly. Clamps against the heavy metal will ensure that all the timber is at the same height, and a light sand should finish that off quite nicely. Final steps to glue and screw 2 pieces across the bottom just to give it a little bit of extra strength. That's done for now, so I'll wait for that to dry. I'm going to cut all this end off the table. Got a nice neat cut. We'll go and mark it up at the other end, cut the other end off, have a nice square tabletop here. Okay, I got my line marked up and all ready to go again. Okay, made short work of that. A nice, fairly neat smooth cut there. Just run the sander over it, should be quite good. And like I said, I'm going to give this blade a bit of a squirt. WD-40, CRC, anything like that would do the trick, just to stop any rust build up on it. Wipe the WD-40 off the table surface, leave it sit there on the blade. It's a nice little unit, and if all you want to do is some light work, I think it'd be perfectly fine for you. I know it's worked well for me so far. Probably had it for a year now, and hasn't been used a lot, and mostly been light work, those sort of jobs that I just did, but it's been fine for that. So if anyone feels the need for a table saw, it's a good, fairly cheap option to keep in mind. All these scraps of wood end up as sacrificial blocks on the drilling press, so I can drill down into them. My next trick, I'm going to sand the end of this. Got the belt sander out for the job, make short work of it. I just want to go along and just neaten up this where I've cut it with the table saw. I've tipped it over and do the other hand. I'm just using the frame that I'm going to make the table from, clamping it to it just to hold it upright and steady before I run this along and neaten her up. Yeah, it's got him. Those corners are a bit too sharp for a table, so I'm going to get the router with a radius cutter on it and cut a radius on all those edges. Here we have the router. I keep it in this plastic container just to keep all the dust off it. As you can see, Makita router, looks like a model 3612BR. It had a lot of use in its early days, hasn't had quite so much use lately, but still going strong. I say well looked after, and I expect to keep looking after it. It'll do out my lifetime. Possibly the kids will get some use out of it after I'm gone. A little bit of sacrificial wood to test to get him all set up correctly. I used my sacrificial wood to make sure I had everything set up properly. Took me a couple of goes. First one I had it just maybe 10 thousandths of an inch too far in. Second one's probably a little bit too far out, but it looks better. So rather than cut it in and leave that ledge behind, I'm just going to leave it set as it is. And here we go. It's a very torquey motor in this. There's a lot of torque in this motor. You've got to start it off the job, because if you start it on the job, it's got a tendency to twist. There's so much torque in it. Okay, well that's exactly what I wanted there. There should be a bevel bit in here somewhere. Once more, I've made use of a scrap piece of board and got this 45 degrees cut pretty nicely how I want it. Okay, that's that. Okay, that's that. There we go, that's nice. That's what I wanted. I've departed from my usual practice of providing plans for everything I build, because this was just an off-the-cuff project to turn those hours here into a silk purse. I hope you found it a little bit entertaining, and I'll finish the build in the next episode. Don't forget to click like and subscribe for more. Until next time.